Francis, sound the alarm. Oh, so weak.
It's because I don't know as much about what's going on, so it's only like my half alarm.
It's your half. It's still a full alarm.
It's like your quail one. Give me a quail.
Woo! It has to do with the.
I do a transfer alarm when it's when there's a transfer thing going on.
When are we going to really start the segment?
Well, we have started the segment, Ben Mankiewicz.
I don't think we have.
Ben, say hi. Say hi, Ben. Hello. There you go. Francis Maxwell, Jason Rubin. NBA free agency is about to hit madness. It's already begun. I'm going to run through some of the names really quick before we get to the more interesting names that have already are not signed just yet. DeMarre Carroll, Toronto, 4 years, $60 million. In a sentence, Ben, go.
It's a good signing, and what this guy's coming off a 2-year, $5 million deal, and he turned it's a good story. DeMarre Carroll story.
It's a great story, but he played 2 good series. Doesn't deserve $60 million.
He had a great year. What are you talking about? The Hawks won 62 games.
Year. We'll get to that later.
No, he's as they say. My favorite expression that people act like it was around for years, like walk off. All of a sudden, everybody talked about a walk off when no one ever had said it before except Dennis Eckersley. 3-and-D. DeMarre Carroll's a 3-and-D player.
I
like that.
I do like that, but he's not. Wes Matthews is worth that money, not DeMarre Carroll. I shouldn't talk so much about the money because this is all inflated. Anyway, Anthony Davis, New Orleans, re-signs effective 2016.
Highest paid player in the league.
5 years, $145 million, worth every penny. Danny Green, another great signing by San Antonio.
But that was also in question, so the Spurs really stepped up. The Spurs have a lot that they want to get done. Danny Green was being significantly courted, and then bang, like that, they were like, no. Not going to let him go.
Well, and that also has to do with the idea that Kawhi Leonard, 5 years, $90 million, and then Thiago Splitter got traded to the Hawks.
Right, so that was the sign. Can they keep them all and get LaMarcus Aldridge? The answer is no, and they send Thiago Splitter to the Hawks, which is a nice pickup.
And Matt Bonner might be on the move too, just because they're going to still need to find a way to make more cap space, I think, to get LaMarcus Aldridge. And we'll get to that back in a second. Goran Dragic, 5 years, $90 million. Mike Dunleavy re-signs.
Goran Dragic is a really, really good player.
Absolutely. That was the one.
I watched Phoenix a lot, and I occasionally would wager on him personally, a certain number of points, or I'd bet on them. And what I never understood what Hornacek was doing there, that's the coach there, right?
Yes.
It seems like he should be the coach of the Jazz. But Dragic would score 8 points in 5 possessions. Like, he would just score.
He had one of the best per 100 possessions numbers in the NBA.
Then he'd come down, and then they'd be like, okay, it's Eric Bledsoe's turn, or whatever other identical guard, Knight, Isaiah Thomas, Brandon Knight, whatever identical player they had. And Dragic would come down, and he would go to the corner and pout. I'm reading to pouting into it. But I thought, well, why is your best player standing in the corner? It'd be like Messi, be like, go over there. We're gonna try and score without you. Just always seemed puzzling. So I'm anxious to see him
with Miami.
Play in Miami.
He's another player of a lot of players coming across from Europe. Who's the guy that plays with Chicago Bulls who I was fascinated with watching all throughout the season? Chicago Bulls.
Nikola Mirotic.
Yeah, another player who's come across has been definitely one.
Yeah, he for some reason he fell asleep during the playoffs, but he really had a phenomenal first season in the NBA, and he's only going to get better. And he's got like a post game, a mid range, and he also has ball handling skills for a somewhat small forward, but going forward. Brook Lopez, Thad Young, Brooklyn Nets, they re-signed. The bigger names that have happened, at least today, as we do this clip. Kevin Love re-signs for 5 years, $110 million.
Yeah, he said.
Oh, he opts out. Oh, he's leaving. He's not fucking leaving.
It's good for Kevin Love and good for what he said. Which I was really impressed with, which I'm going to read to you.
While you read that, Tyson Chandler also went to the Suns. That number is being worked out. But it makes it interesting because we know as we're doing this clip, LaMarcus Aldridge is going into a meeting with the Suns right after they signed Tyson Chandler and Brandon Knight.
Tyson Chandler going to the Suns is bad news for the Clippers.
Yes.
Because if DeAndre Jordan goes to the Mavericks, and it's apparently down to the Mavericks and Clippers, we think he could sign elsewhere. But the hope was that the Clippers could at least do a sign and trade with the Mavericks and bring Tyson Chandler in to replace Jordan. Now, if he goes to the Mavericks,
they lose their rim protector.
Yeah, they lose their rim protector. They become a totally different team.
Do you have Kevin Love's quote?
So here's what Kevin Love said. After all this, you had the meeting set up with the Lakers in the week, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, of course, I've heard the free agency rumors, Love says. But at the end of the day, and after meeting with my teammates, it turns out pools are great meeting places. And with the front office, it was clear Cleveland was the place for me. We're all on the same page, and we're all in. We have unfinished business now. It's time to get back to work. Yeah. So all this talk about it, he was pouting, couldn't play with LeBron. Like this guy recognizes you know, I have a chance to play with LeBron James. I'm gonna do that.
Stupid.
Yeah, good for him.
Like, why is there even a conversation about this? Your team just gets to the NBA Finals and you have LeBron James. So I would take it as a player who was out injured to try and take it as a personal goal to come back the next season and be like, no, we can win it because I'm going to come back.
No, and he did. So I mean, there's no indication that he did it quickly and he canceled other meetings.
It's the media.
For whatever reason, there seemed, and this is the parallels between every big three that's been created, because we kind of saw this with Ray Allen very little bit because he's such a respectable player on Boston when he became the third player on that team and the big three started getting created. And then the parallels between Kevin Love and Chris Bosh when Chris Bosh signed with the Heat. And this whole idea, some players don't like being the third wheel. Some players want to be the center of attention on a team. I never understood that mentality because you can play for a championship as the third wheel on a great team. Or you can be the center of attention on a team that's going nowhere.
Exactly. Well, first of all, there's a lot in between, and we all have to. You're typically wrong.
But that's not a fully wrong right there.
No, but it's typical of your wrongness.
Go, let's hear it.
Like, did you ever win a championship?
Did I ever win a championship? Yes, I did. Yeah.
In what?
Back in Scotland.
But like you didn't win it in college.
I didn't win it in college. We got to the playoffs.
And in your little pro things, you haven't won a championship, right? Did you have fun?
I mean, I got a fair play award.
Yeah,
thanks for competing.
No, but I mean, well, you're not giving me the answer I was looking for, but thank you for your candor.
So is he?
No, what I'm saying is that
there's typically wrong.
There's value. There's not value in going 24 and 58 every year for the Timberwolves, but not winning a championship is okay. Like being competitive, competing for it.
Why wouldn't you put? You signed a 5-year, $110 million contract, which is money that the same money can be gotten anywhere else, but you're not putting yourself in a best position to win, to become a better player.
He is, actually. Love signed with Cleveland.
I know.
So he is putting himself in that.
But that's why all these parallels come up in these insane, like.
I'm just saying, it's not like it's okay. You want to have fun. You want to get the most out of it. If all we think of is winning a championship and everything else is a disaster, I never felt that way in any way. Like you compete as hard as you can for the championship. If you don't win it, there's still value. So I just don't think that a guy, because it's about what kind of game you want to play. And Kevin Love, more than being the second wheel or the third wheel, seemed out of his game. We saw this guy the last 2 years in Minnesota as a dominant player, and he seemed like Steve Kerr, like a guy who just floated around the perimeter and went, I'm open. LeBron's going to shoot again. Kyrie's going to shoot again.
New system. Again, I really think with the Kevin Love, I think the media did a poor job at blowing it all out of the water in terms of what was actually going on. Because we see him looks like
I don't know whether media, but I like what he's. I'm glad he went back to Cleveland.
I'm thrilled.
Right, but there's value. There's value in the other decision too.
But I am typically wrong. So there's a few other players we do need to get to. Marcus Gasol is another big name.
He said throughout he's not going to go anywhere else.
Except he's going to sign with the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies need to bring something on to really get out of that.
Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes is definitely not the player that they need to become.
I like that.
And maybe Luke Ridnour will be on the. Maybe Luke Ridnour will play for every single one of these teams.
They play 4 teams in a week?
Yes. It's been 7 days now, and he's been on 4 different teams.
The Grizzlies have a reputation of being tough and mean, and they just got to play to make them tougher and meaner. And Matt Barnes.
I like watching them.
They're they're a physical team. That's what's nice about them. I think that's the end of my list. Tristan Thompson, Ben, could you fill me in?
Yeah, Tristan Thompson looks like he's going to re-sign with the Cavaliers too. Again, these guys all reckon LeBron apparently wanted that. At more than $80 million. I mean, it was amazing is that if you can't score the basketball at all, and you still are going to get 80. And I think he's worth it. I do. But the Cavs may pay $75 million in taxes this year.
Right.
They're going to go they're going to annihilate the salary cap by re-signing Love and Thompson, and then plus whoever else LeBron is able to recruit, which is clearly what he's doing right now. Who else am I thinking? Jay Crowder, is that right?
Jay Crowder's one of them.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, as thank you, Dan, our executive producer, just mentioned, Brandon Knight with the Suns, so that they're trying to put together that, I guess, big three-esque system of a Tyson Chandler, Brandon Knight, and as we've mentioned before,
that third player better be Michael Jordan, or it's not going to.
Okay,
it's not a big three.
Let me rephrase.
Wow, Tyson Chandler at 35 and Brandon Knight, that's a
33, I think. But let me rephrase.
There's no way Tyson Chandler's 33.
Let me rephrase. Brandon Knight, Tyson, it's a medium 2.
No, I like Brandon Knight. I totally like Brandon Knight. It's odd that the Suns keep trading for the same guy.
Right. Well, it's because they've had the 5 of the same point guards run their
but
backcourt.
I like Brandon Knight.
Ben, Francis, let's move towards the two biggest names left that are still unsigned, and that is LaMarcus Aldridge, who we know is not signing with the Lakers as of right now, and DeAndre Jordan, who we talked a little about before, and how it seems like the Spurs are going to be the front runner to sign them. The Spurs are going to sign LaMarcus Aldridge, it seems like. And DeAndre Jordan looks like a Clippers or going back to Dallas. Not back to Dallas, but I believe he grew up in Dallas. Yeah. He's from the Dallas area.
I don't know his background.
He's from the Texas area. He's from Houston, but he's not going to the Rockets.
Aldridge apparently said he didn't want to sign with the Lakers because in their presentation to lure him in, they talked too much about what's going on off the court, basically, rather than what they're going to be able to bring to him.
Aldridge, it says here, was unimpressed by the basketball portion of the team's presentation, which is weird because they're a basketball team.
But I kind of, for me, that stands out a little bit. No offense to anyone who out there is a Lakers fan, but it seems for me that obviously a huge part of being a Laker is everything that comes along with what is attached to being a Laker. The showmanship, the Laker girls, maybe they just did a full presentation of the Laker girls dancing and like,
I would have signed me.
That's it. Well,
Ben,
I like Aldridge. I like that he would just be like, "Yeah, I've been to Los Angeles and I can still visit." I need
to know what I'm going to do.
I'm not from a third world country, and you're going to get dazzled like I.
Oh, the Lakers, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like how they go like, oh, LaMarcus Aldridge probably coming to the Lakers because he has a house in L.A.
Yeah,
I think
everyone
40% of the league has a house in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Happens to be a fun city, according to many. So I'm curious your thoughts on this with LaMarcus Aldridge, though. He's 30 years old, which always slips my mind. And he's not 23, 24, young guy. Do you think we've seen the best out of LaMarcus Aldridge and he's going to sign a max deal somewhere and he's
I think we have seen the best of him.
So do you think
But I mean, that said, I think he's probably, looks like, he's gotten better the last 2 years. So
right.
He's probably got 2 or 3 really effective years left.
So it's the win now. Yeah. There is no more building. We get.
Yeah, and everybody likes him. I mean, he has, it would appear, the Spur-like work ethic, that could keep him good until he's 35. Again, this is going to be anywhere he signs, only a 4-year contract. He may have an out after 3, so you're probably safe for 75% of that contract, which is
and in that move, he may have just completely concluded my my allegiance with Portland because that was a team that I kind of only felt some sort of allegiance with. All the guys in my team, Northwest, and I loved watching their playoff run. Not last year, the year before, when Damian Lillard was just phenomenal, lighting it up, and I loved the combination of those two. So maybe I'll just be a typical basketball bandwagoner and jump.
Steph Curry was your boy.
I like Steph Curry, but I mean that's just simply because I love how
elegant.
Elegance is one of them. I've definitely seen signs of how well he played and how much he influenced his teammates. To my obviously guys like Messi in football and how amazing he is. But I always just felt an allegiance for Portland because I felt that they were somewhat of the underdogs, and I love Damian Lillard's story, and I think that he's an unbelievable basketball player. And some of the shots that he made in the latter stages of the last playoff run had enough to kind of captivate me.
Well, Adrian Wojnarowski says,
who I've been following,
says, and again, I've thought it all along because it seemed, the reporting seemed inconclusive. He says they're still in touch. That don't count him out.
Okay.
And again, it's a 5th year. It's a lot of money. He may be down. My hunch is he's going to sign with the Spurs because the Spurs re-signed Danny Green,
Kawhi Leonard,
and Leonard we always knew was going to stay, but they re-signed Danny Green. They gave Leonard the big deal, committed to Leonard long term, and the trade of Splitter. They're poised to bring in Aldridge, and then I imagine you'll see Ginobili and Duncan come back for another year.
Parker, one more year.
Well, Parker's definitely going to play next year.
Well, Parker's younger than we always imagine, just for every reason. He gets tied in with the Ginobili and Duncan era. Again, real quick, lastly, I know we touched a little bit on DeAndre, not enough, though. He could end up. I think he could end up as a Laker if they don't sign LaMarcus Aldridge, and I think it does worry me because I think the Clippers need DeAndre Jordan.
This is shocking for me. This is a statement that I've never really understood for basketball, if that is even a possibility. Any other sport that I have been brought up understanding, you move from the same team, the rival same team in the same city, and just go play in the same stadium, but just wear the different shirt. That's acceptable. Is that acceptable?
It is now.
Where the money? They go where the money is.
But for years and years, it was true. The Mets and Yankees didn't make a trade. The Cubs and White Sox didn't make a trade. Those teams didn't mess with it. It was really rare. A player would have to play for the Yankees, get sent somewhere else, and then work his way back to the Mets, maybe. But that was it
happens in world football, don't get me wrong, but it is sometimes when it's a rivalry that are in the exact, like Liverpool and Everton, that just doesn't happen.
But you just got here. The Clippers.
5 years, just got here.
The Clippers.
I knew they weren't as good before.
It wasn't like the Lakers did not care what the Clippers did. They were indifferent to the Clippers. Clippers might have been another irrelevant team like Phoenix or Sacramento.
There you have it. Don't upset our executive producer.
Relevant or relevant?
LaMarcus, well, they're not anymore, but they were forever. By the way, LaMarcus Aldridge, incredibly impressed with the Rockets' analytics. So they dazzled him. He's most impressed with San Antonio.
Basketball on the video?
LaMarcus Aldridge is too good of a human being to play on the Houston.
Because there's no way Houston. There's no way.
And they're going to show
they
the
didn't.
city.
They didn't dazzle him with the city. That's inconceivable.
Maybe New York might get him then if they show him the sights.
Let's go, baby. They meet on Thursday. Let's do it. Greg Monroe might be a Knick by the end of today also, which would be great. Love myself. My next Francis. 28 and 54. No. With Carmelo in that lineup, they can win 30 games. So I got to wrap up before both the producers kick my ass. Francis, Ben, Jason, leave all your comments and thoughts on NBA free agency in the comments section below. If you click on Ben, he'll give you a hug.